So today I'm going to step over Candle, and then I'm going to try to do some quizzes. I just got done doing this with GPT and DeepSeek, and it's like a method that I'm trying to implement to see how it works. So I haven't fully figured out yet whether or not it's going to work. So I'm going to try the first quizzes that were created. So I'm not really sure if it's going to be good or if it doesn't work at all. And another nice thing is that DeepSeek implemented this corpus here, which I already had as a report on a Markdown, but now it's like way nicer. So it's basically all the libraries that I have there to study. It's a code base that I have here on this repo called Census, like a tool. And the website connects to this tool. And then it basically goes over all the repositories that I have there to study the libraries, and then it captures the patterns based on frequency. So these are the orders of the libraries that are used the most. And then there's all these other categories here as well. So just from this alone, I can obviously already have a pretty decent idea of what kind of things are important to study. But obviously, this is not enough. So the idea is to use this data to craft or to shape what kinds of things I'm going to train. And obviously, the problem here, another problem is that it's not really realistic, obviously. So even though it's used, I don't know the context. I'm just gonna go over. I'll go back to that. It takes some time to load some of the categories because there's a bunch of things that's it lists there. I'm going over Kendo now. So this stands for type here. There's a macro that's going to allow you to implement a type, or from a generic type, or from whatever type you initialize this with. Not sure what's this DT is. Imagine the size based on the way that it's being used here. So implement something that is going to convert from a type to this shape by using the back macro to initialize the shape. Here is usize. What is n? N is usize, and they're both usize, I think. It's basically implementing this and the array for a matrix. implement shape. This self.0 I think is the first variable of the whatever is implementing this, or probably the shape struct. I think it is. It has to be a struct because it's implementing straight into it. After the last time I talked to GPT to try to figure out if there's a better way, but it looks like from that conversation I couldn't come up with a better way to find the definition of things. I think the best thing you can do is just look for the, you have to at some point look for the syntax and then try to search for like the most specific syntax you can first, obviously. But it's still kind of annoying. I didn't figure out like a better way to do it. And maybe there isn't really a better way. And this also, I have to ask this. I don't think I asked this last time. How, I saw a video I think today where they talked about this. Like, what does it mean to initialize a struct like this? I think that it is determining the type of the first variable implicitly here, but I don't understand how it works. And then GPT told me to try to do some of the quizzes and then report back with the generated quizzes and the telemetry of the response. But I think I'm gonna do that offstream probably. Okay. So the array is this and the array. Now in situations like this, it's kind of annoying as well. Like if the implementation wasn't directly here, because then obviously you can't use just implements because then you wouldn't find. Yeah, I think that base also saw videos about associated types. I think the reason why you use associated types is to force a type for a specific thing. So if you initialize something with a generics, or if you define something with generics, then it becomes possible to have multiple implementations that use a different type for that generic, as far as I understand. But then when you use associated types, it kind of forces all the other implementations to use the same type. So it's something along those lines. shape is the thing that I was suggesting. I think it's pretty easy to understand how this works. It's basically just an abstraction on top of a vector that allows you to probably organize things more. And it's using Rail there, which is another library that I saw some time ago. Which from what I understood is something that allows you to optimize operations under the hood with vectors because it implements their own iteration or iter tools or something like that. And obviously here is deciding what kind of device you're gonna use. So it's either gonna be CPU or GPU if your GPU supports CUDA, I think. Or macOS is Metal. I don't understand like how it works under the hood though. How does it know that it is a GPU or a CPU that like how does it determine which one's gonna use? Oh, it's because it's passing here. That's why. So when initialize it past the... Yeah. Is the second argument? That should be the device, but it's kind of weird. Yeah, so the device is the enum itself. That's what I gotta know. So you specify which one you wanna use. But I wonder, because I know that my GPU doesn't support CUDA. I wonder what happens if I pass there. Maybe I should test this. No. I think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna stop here. I think kind of simple to understand, at least the part that I'm looking at here. It's probably harder to come up with the code myself, but looking at it, I think it's kind of easy to understand what's going on. The other thing that I wanna see is there's an associative type here. Or associated type. I wanna see if there are other implementations to see. So what I was talking about makes sense. So this is implementing the dereference implementation for this. So what happens when you dereference the tensor? It's gonna get the first thing as a reference, which is probably this atomic reference counted tensor. It's gonna be hard to find. If I search for this. And maybe I'll ask this again as well. It's still kind of confusing. Yeah, the way that I'm looking at it is that you use this kind of type here whenever you don't want to allow a new implementation for setting a different type based on how you implement. Because if you do it with generics here, I think you could do like something like this. I'm not really sure. And then puts here. But then you could implement this again with another type, I think. And then do this. Not really sure though. It's something along those lines. Then in order to avoid this from happening, you use this associated type. But I'm gonna ask again to clarify this. I can also use on the function as well. I think like, I don't remember if it is like this, the syntax. Just like this. But in this case, it doesn't work because of this implementation of the as rough. Because it has to implement the size, I think. Waveform tensor. Yeah, because of this thing here. So because this is a tensor, it breaks there. If I do like this, it goes away. Yeah. So it's pretty simple. I'm gonna stop here now. I'm gonna see if I put. Actually, it's better to do it on the first. Escudo. Maybe something else. Hmm. If I use the compiler too. Sure how this works. Let's see if this works. Hmm. Yeah, so the question obviously is gonna be how does it know? And I guess it's based on the way that it's compiled or something like this. Because obviously it's using this dummy to the backend file. Like this is just an implementation for whenever you don't have the CUDA device, I think. Or maybe it's because of the way that I'm initializing there as well. Because I'm not really sure if this is the correct way to initialize it. So it clearly is different, so I do think that's gonna fail here because of that error. Yeah, so panic. The candle crate has not been built with CUDA support. Yeah, so it's a thing on the build system, I think. That's how he's gonna know. I'm not gonna dive into that. I'm just gonna spend some time doing the quizzes now. It's probably something here. Probably this is something to do with the configuration here. Then the build system is probably gonna communicate with the OS, which is gonna check drivers or check the hardware to see if it supports the probably check drivers. The OS checks the drivers to see if they support CUDA. And then depending on whether or not it does, it builds it in a different way. But I don't understand obviously that there's many more here as well. Maybe this is an interesting question to ask later. Maybe this make file here as well. Okay. Kernels. You. Yeah, it's probably this or something related to this. Yeah, the tech compute. Yeah, the orange. So through the build system, one of these libraries is gonna figure out, and I can do it because it's not compiled on this one. The robust analyzer doesn't know where it comes from. Maybe I don't have this CUDA forge here as well because I didn't compile for this. So I'm just gonna do I'm gonna look into the other categories here. And then I'm gonna do some quizzes. I think this trait context is probably gets put into the where clause, a bounds definition. I didn't see there is other options there. Yeah, so the first ones are not surprising here. Just a hash map, arc. I think FMT is probably for printing stuff from what I've seen and what I remember. PathBuff I also seen one time, 1 or 2 times, or maybe more actually. And it's obviously for paths. Phantom data I think is just to allow creating something that has a fake type or something. But I know it's something built in that as well. I don't remember exactly why it's used. And call is copy on write. But when you want something to only be copied when you write the data to it. But first I think it creates a pointer. And 30. Another one used all the time. Okay, whatever. So this one is pretty interesting. It allows you to see the mirror and the LLVM and the WAS or the assembly. These ones are just for exploring. I think the way that I'm talking with ChatGPT about, I think what I'm gonna try to do is to have like something similar to LeetCode, kind of similar, but like the code on one side and the other side with tabs with the outputs, and also something similar to Godbolt, just show the assembly. So the two quizzes that were generated are this choice and the recall. And I think they are generated based on the reports. So obviously I'm not really sure if it works or not. I'm just gonna try to do some of them. I'm gonna write down as well to send to GPT later. Actually, maybe I'll do this. I think I'll do it off stream if it's fine to copy. To discuss whether or not it worked, the method that we are trying to use should do this. Starting from option T, which single operation produces T. Constraints must not be panic, fallback value available. That's probably an unwrap, I think. Must not panic, so maybe an unwrap or, because unwrap then you would panic. I think it's this one, yeah. Turns the value or provided the font's never panicking. Okay. Next one, a verified chain is missing one operation, which calls. Yeah, so the way that I'm talking to GPT about and what I'm trying to do is to have like a funnel. So the choice would be the fastest one and the easiest one to do. So it's meant to be very high frequency and you do very fast. And the recall is a little bit slower from what I remember. And you essentially have to type the methods. And this is more like for memorization, the way that I'm thinking about it. So I want to write a bunch of times the methods of the built-in types, for example, the string and the vector and stuff like that. So I memorize everything. And then the construction is the one that I don't think we've done it yet. But the way that I'm thinking about it is going to be like transformation of types. So like transforming a string into a vector, for example, in a specific way with some constraints. So this is what the thing that I'm trying to build on the website right away. Because that way I have a ritual that I can do every day. The chain is missing one operation, which calls completes it. So entry, I assume, is similar to Python, where it's going to give you a key and item to loop over. This values entries. None of this, maybe our defaults is the one that makes more sense. Yeah, this one is kind of weird. I'm gonna write. Probably because it's missing context. So the report got the chain, and then it raised one of the methods. But because I don't have the context of what values is, and I don't know how it's gonna be used later, it's kind of hard to understand what. But maybe it is valid anyway, because I should know. But yeah. Okay, so first. There's another thing that I'm gonna write down that it would be good, which I had on the other side, which is to uh, redo the question to see what it's gonna say on the if I get the answer correct. Insert a value key only when it's absent. In which string operation produces this as byte. This one's kind of obvious. Yeah. It borrows a string as its raw bytes without copying. Nice. I think that this one already, no, it was different because it doesn't have the unwrap R here. Maybe some, or I expect. I think it is some because the option is either some or none. So, hmm. Yeah, this one is a little bit deceiving because of the still panics here. I think it's iterator, pretty sure. Yeah. I think it's this one. I mean, maybe it is fine to not have the button because from what I'm seeing here, I think that's is gonna give the same. Is like it's gonna just explain regardless of whether or not you get it right. So maybe this is fine. Maybe map. But this one could be ambiguous because maybe there's like several options that work. I think collect is used to get the items. I'm not really 100% sure what it does, but I've seen it all the time, and it's usually after you loop over something. Yeah, but I'm not really sure about this one. But this one already did, I think. It's gonna be probably this. Either this one or the first. No, it was a different order, I think. So I need to implement two functions as the show and get functions. I think it's this one. Because it has the where t clause here, so it constrains the type to have to implement this behavior to print, and on the other one it doesn't. So here it doesn't like. Yeah, okay. We're gonna do the recall now. Perfect. In trouble. Yeah, this one I can already tell it's harder. Because I have absolutely no idea. Trouble. Maybe it's expect. I have no idea. Contains. Select. Right. Yeah, this one I'm not really sure though. Yeah, I think that this one is not very good because it doesn't have enough information. This one I've seen before as well, but I don't remember what's the. I think I've seen this when DeepSeek was implementing the website. Because it was using Playwright to test the logic, but I don't remember how it's what what method it is. Hmm. I don't remember. Retain. Okay. I also have no idea, and I forgot the other one already. Trying to remember. I have no idea. Don't remember. I assume that it's probably the same name, the method, even though the other question was about a vector. I think it was contains. Yeah. Contains key. So it probably was contains on the vector, but on this one is contains key. I think based on the other ones, probably ether. Is either ether or into ether. Ether mute. Yeah, because of the mute here. Okay. So I'm gonna assume that is a map. But again, this one might be like too ambiguous as an exercise. Borrow filter, transform the contact into a new one. Yeah. Just did this one as well. I forgot already. Yeah, I don't remember. Or defaults. Also feel like this might be too ambiguous as well. Because there might be several different types of things that you can call after entry. I think probably at first, obviously what I'm gonna do is try to develop more. At first, I should probably focus more on the construction or whatever this category is gonna be, which is creating the algorithm myself. So you have the input and you have the output, and you have to figure out how to do the algorithm. So I should probably try to spend more time on this first, and then it's probably gonna be like the Pareto. So at first, when I'm learning in the beginning, I spend most of the time trying to build the algorithms. Then once, like 80% of the time, then once I feel comfortable with that, then I start switching to these other types of exercises because they seem that they're gonna be better for like just memorization of the patterns. As slice maybe, or not sure if it's as slice or slice. I'm not. I have no idea. As string. I just did this one. I forgot already. Yeah, I don't remember. Or insert. Yes, I think it's basically the same, but it's a different answer there. Yeah, value is just the one that I did now. Yeah, but it was different actually. Was asking a different thing. Not sure if I wanna. So I'm just gonna stop streaming now, and I'm gonna continue to develop this off stream. I think probably next time I stream, we're just gonna develop this on stream. I'm gonna try to do as much as I can off stream now. So see you next time.